Well, greetings and salutations, everybody, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. We're right in between those two special times of the year, and look who shows up. It's Kitty. Say hi to everybody, Kitty. She may or may not. Anyway, what am I here for? Well, primarily to say thank you for all your support throughout 2021. My channel has grown quite a bit in the last year, and it would not have happened without your support. And so I'm very happy for all that support that you have given me. And I promise to continue to strive to bring you quality content in future years, especially 2022. And I'm going to be kicking off 2022 real soon here. And one of the projects I'm going to be doing, and I hope other channels will join me in this, is a open tag event that somebody prompted me with through a viewer question. And they said they'd like to see the last knife I bought in 2021 in comparison. The last knife I bought in 2021 in comparison with the first knife I bought in 2022. Now, for some people, that might actually be the exact same knife. You know, you might end up buying two case trappers. No? Yeah, two case trappers. But it won't be for me. I'm pretty certain I'll have two different knives. And I'm hoping that they'll at least be from two different companies and maybe different designs and stuff. And try and compare the difference between my first knife of 2022 compared to the last knife I bought in 2021. Now, I already know what the last knife I bought in 2021 is. You'll see that, when I do the open tag of 2021, 2022. What do you say? Is that good for you? Okay. She's going to wander away now. But in the meantime, I also have a little bit of content in this video after my rambling here. And that's basically an update on a couple projects that I did at the end of 2021. One of them involving that Boker tortoiseshell Stockman. I'm trying to salvage that and make it into something better. And then also the other one is the where I left off with the that Camco Scout knife, where I'm at the current moment. Haven't quite finished it yet, but I do have a pretty good update on it, and I think that'll be kind of interesting. And then finally, I thought I would just show you the various stickers that I picked up in previous years, and then throw that into a slideshow at the very end of this video. But in any case, for right now, let me just say happy holidays to all of you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and looking forward to seeing you in 2022. Same with Kitty. She's looking forward to seeing you in 2022. She ain't going anywhere. Anyway, stick around for the show. Okay, this is a update on a couple projects I've been working on. I'm going to start with talking about the Boker Stockman, the tortoiseshell Stockman I got from Boker. Several people have said the ones that are just marked Germany here without the Sologen on the tang stamp are actually knives made in China, or knives with parts from China and then assembled in Germany, something like that. A couple different stories I've heard. I have also heard that they're actually made in Germany, but they're made in a factory that is not in Sologen, Germany. And basically an old East German knife factory is where these knives are made. I don't know. And I don't think Boker's ever going to tell me, so I'm not too concerned about that. I have not polished the back yet. That's one of the things I probably should do. If I polish down this back, it might look a little cleaner than what it does here. It does look a little rough. Smooth enough, but it could be smoother, so I might have to polish the back down a bit. What I did do, though, is I've been basically cleaning and flushing and cleaning and flushing and re-oiling the knife over and over, while at the same time working the blades. So this main blade has probably been opened about good 300 or 400 times now in the last 2 weeks. And it is starting to open a lot smoother than it did before. I can still feel a little pivot grind when it's opening, but closing, it's closing a lot smoother. So I know with time, I can probably get that to work a little bit better. I had the same issue with a Baron Sun knife that I just had to open and close, open and close, open and close for a long, long time before it finally started acting the way I wanted to. Either way, it's going to have a pull on there that's probably around 6 or 7, and I would much prefer a pull on this Stockman being around 4 or 5. But it is getting smoother with that. What I mostly worked on, though, was the spay blade. I did a couple things to the spay blade. And primarily what I ended up having to do is, well, I took the kick here and I filed it down a little bit and actually used a grinding stone on a Dremel tool and ground that down quite a bit so that the blade would drop low enough so that it would no longer interfere with the nail nick on the sheepfoot blade. Now, the sheepfoot blade is the one blade on this knife that seemed to have been okay from the get-go. Yeah, it has a pull that's around a 5 or 6, so it's a little harder than I'm used to on Stockman's, but it's really not bad, and the action is pretty smooth. I don't feel any grinding on it. The real issue I had with it was the fact that I just could not get my finger into the nail nick because the spay blade was in the way. So the obvious way to remedy that problem was grind down the kick on the spay blade. And I was able to do that enough so that it's clear. It could be a little clearer, but it's clear enough where it's sitting right now, so I'm happy with it. The other thing I decided to do, as long as I had the grinder out, is change the spay blade into a pin blade. And that worked out pretty well. And by doing that, I also made probably just a little like a micrometer or so, a little lower, so you could get a little bit closer to the nail nick there. But also, this blade is working a whole lot better now also after a lot of cleaning, flushing, and re-oiling and opening and closing it a lot. So I think with time, I will get a knife that is, well, pretty decent. And if it all works out, it'll be a knife that, well, you know, I put a little blood and sweat and into it, so, you know, a little elbow grease here and there. So it will get a little more affection from me from doing that. Will I end up keeping it or giving it away? I'm not sure yet. Again, the tortoise shell, it looks pretty, but it doesn't look like tortoise shell to me. But it's still a pretty cool looking knife. So I might end up keeping it. But if I end up giving it away, I won't feel like I'm giving somebody a problem knife. So that's the other thing. So once I get finished with it, I'll feel like it's at least worthy of giving it to somebody else. So, which would be nice. I would hate to give a person a junk knife and say, hey, here, you go figure out if you can fix this or not, because I don't feel like doing it. I'd rather play around with it a little bit and see if I can make it a worthwhile knife. And so far, it's coming along. I think in a couple more weeks of opening and closing it, and this thing will be all right. And then I'll see if I want to polish it up a little bit on the back here to make it a little bit prettier too. But so far, this is coming along. And still, would I recommend somebody buying it? No, because I'm basically doing the final finish on the knife, and that should have been done at the factory. It should not have been done by me. On the bright side, if they would have done it at the factory, it would have came as a spay blade, and I got a pin blade. So that's the good part of it. Let's move on to the other one, and that is the Camco bazooka knife. I still got the bazooka shield here, right? Yes. Oh no, this is the Camco knife. And I want to I was thinking about what I want to do for a cover for it. I've done wood covers before. I'm not sure if I want to do a wood cover. And I was talking about using marine epoxy for the covers. Now, some people are thinking that I was talking about plumber's putty. No, not plumber's putty, because while it does look like plumber's putty, it's not plumber's putty. This is a different stuff. This is an epoxy. It's a two-part epoxy, but it's not liquid. It's like a putty. And when it dries very strong, very hard. They say it dries like iron. And I have actually used this to seal cracked pipes in the basement. And it has sealed like heavy cast iron pipes for 20, 30 years. And it works. So I know it's waterproof. I know it's solid, and I know it doesn't break apart. And the idea of using the marine epoxy on the knife as a complete cover, while I have never done that, I have actually used some of this stuff to repair a knife that had a broken bone handle. And I talked about this knife a long time ago in another video I did. And this is an old, I think pre-1964 Case mini trapper that had a broken bone handle back here. And what I did is I rolled a piece of the putty out, the marine epoxy, and I filled it in and painted over it so it would be complete. Now, obviously, I could also send this to Case and they could put a new bone handle on it and everything. But for the moment, that's all I did with it because, well, I didn't really feel like sending it anywhere. And it's also a knife that I'm not going to be using a lot. So I had no problem with just, making a piece of bone and filling it in. And you see this area here, all of this area right there, the area that's exposed there, that's where the bone was missing. All of this is epoxy. And I have carried this. I have used it a little bit. And it doesn't come off or anything. And I basically just painted it to match, and it looks pretty good. So it's just a really cool old Case mini trapper, Case XX USA, with a pin blade. So pretty cool knife, and I liked it, and so that's why I did that. Yeah, I know it's there, but it's strong. It's as strong as the bone. So I'm still looking at doing it with this, and I am seriously going to do it, but I decided in the meantime to try it on another knife and just see how well it held up. And so this knife was in my parts, well, not my parts box, my giveaway box, and it's an old Camillus fish knife with the old push-here dummy liner lock going on. And the handles are completely gone on this one, or the covers were. There were yellow covers on it, completely gone. And I said, well, it's got some pins, and let's see how it works on this. And so what I did is I rolled out a little bit of the epoxy, and I put it on the handles here, or put it on the knife, and it actually held on pretty good. And as you can tell, this knife, I really could not hurt this knife. The blade is really pitted and everything else, yet it still holds a good edge. The lock is not perfect, yet it does keep the knife open. And the nickel silver is tarnished and everything else. So I really wasn't worried about messing this knife up, especially considering it only cost $1. Now let me tell you what I've done so far with this knife. First of all, if you notice here, I've actually carved some of this stuff off, because what I noticed right away after it all dried is, man, did I ever put too much putty on here. It also expanded a bit, so it actually grew up over the nickel silver bolsters. So I've been scraping some of it off of the bolsters. So it actually expanded a little bit. I did not know that it was going to do that, to the point where I've actually had to been sanding it off of here too, and grinding it down and such. so that you can still see some of it here where it has come up over the brass liner. Not so much over here, but you do see it a little bit here on the brass liner too. And as you can also tell, I used too much putty. The handle is much thicker than I wanted to make it. I could have used half the amount of putty to make these handles. But I tell you what, when I put that in my hand, it actually feels good. It's a good knife to grip onto, better than some of the other toothpicks I have. So having a little bit of a bulky handle worked out for it. The other thing I have done with this, and I wish I could show it to you, but basically I have taken this and flipped it up in the air many a times and let it fall to the floor. I have also thrown it against the wall to see if anything would break off of it. And, well, you heard the noise in the background. This stuff is on there. It's not going anywhere. No cracking or anything else. And I mean, I have repeatedly dropped this thing and I have repeatedly thrown it against the wall and nothing has happened to it. So the stuff is rock solid, or like they said, dries like steel. So it's pretty good, strong stuff. So I think I will be putting it on the Camco and sticking that shield into it when the time comes. But first, I'm probably going to try it, experiment on a couple more knives in the junk box, or in my box of junk knives, so that I can get the proportions down right, so that when I actually start to put it on this knife, I don't screw it up. Because I tell you what, I do not think it's going to be easy to take off once it goes on. You basically have to break it off with a chisel, and I don't want to have to be doing that. So yeah, this stuff, you can actually make a knife, or you can actually make covers for a knife with this stuff, and form it to fit, and you'll be all right. And as it is, like I said, this actually feels good in the hand, even though it is big and bulky. Anyway, there you have it. There's where I'm at with this knife, and with my my Camco camp knife, and also with my Boker Germany tortoiseshell Stockman. let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pius. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.